Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstroh of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on GovTV for your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the most local and current things going on right here in Oshkosh, and as well as a preview of the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstroh, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Roloff. Welcome, Mark. Thank you for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
It's great to have you. As always, we've got a ton to talk about, so we're going to dive into our first hot topics for the first half of today's show. We'll take a little break, and then we'll return with a review of the Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 25th, 2017. So, Mark, first thing that we want to talk about, of course, is the Oshkosh Corporation 100th anniversary. Let's do a little recap. This was a huge deal last weekend. Open house, parade, tons of people, just a great day.
Wildly successful. I think that the turnout from not just Oshkosh residents, because I was expecting a lot of Oshkosh residents, but I ran into some people who came up from as far as Lake Geneva because they had just never had an opportunity to see these types of vehicles. Mm-hmm. A lot of retired Army folks who wanted to see vehicles they had used when they served in the military. So just the number of different vehicles that were there, the variety of vehicles was just phenomenal. You know, we don't necessarily see all these vehicles, which was the purpose of the open house and the parade. So people got to see some things that they probably have just never seen before if they were military vehicles or, you know, unless they're on an airport fire department grounds, you're not going to see some of the vehicles. You know, there you see our fire trucks, of course, and that was our Chief Franz driving that vehicle. But there's so many different vehicles, and they're specialty big vehicles. But I had an elderly woman comment to me that she saw these vehicles, and she said, "I never knew that they made so many of these vehicles."
Exactly.
She said, "I got to go out and buy more Oshkosh Corp stock." So it was interesting. It was a great punchline. But there is a huge, diverse group of products that Oshkosh Corp makes. A lot of them are done right here in Oshkosh, and others are at some of their subsidiary companies. But certainly they are a great company to have in town. Fortune 500 company. How many communities can say that? Mm-hmm. So we were very pleased. And it was just a great turnout. I got to ride on what they call a Striker, which was an airport fire vehicle. And I just had a blast, honking the horn, running the sirens. And
didn't get to use the hose, though, did you?
No, the driver pointed it, but he wasn't going to trust me with that. And of course, I honked the horn and did the sirens for the kids.
Just for the kids.
Just for the kids, absolutely.
Well, the parade was really cool, like you said. It was really interesting to see all of the different trucks that you don't even realize are made by Oshkosh Corp. And of course, the open house, what a great opportunity. Just a really wonderful community pride celebration.
Oh, the people that were at the parade literally walked all the way down to Waukah Avenue by the Global Technology Center to get in there. Mm-hmm. And people were very patient, waiting because they wanted to see it.
It's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get in those doors.
Somebody likened it to like the Willy Wonka movies, yes, where you've seen the smokestack coming out of the factory for years, and finally they open it up to the public, and the public's just wide-eyed about, oh my gosh, I never knew this happened right here in Oshkosh. And I think there are lots of those aha moments for people. So it was a great way for Oshkosh Corp to thank the community, and the community to show its support, and thank Oshkosh Corp for being a great company here in town for 100 years now.
Definitely. We look forward to 100 more years as well. So
that works for me.
Moving on, Mark, the thing that we wanted to mention here, the dreaded Oshkosh Avenue closure is coming to an end. We have an update. There's still going to be some lane restrictions, but it'll be passable finally after that 12 days.
Well, this was necessary because the work we're doing is we're going to be putting in a new lift station in that area, because a lot of that's been, over the years, has been done through gravity feed. There was some incorrect rumors out there that we were doing it because of Evergreen's expansion. the proximity to Evergreen is nothing more than a coincidence. We're going to be putting in a lift station over by Mary Jewell Park, and it's really to get under Sawyer Creek, because right now it's done what's called a siphon, which is letting gravity kind of do all the work, and we need a lift station to really do this. So now that Oshkosh Ave needed to be closed for a couple weeks, so starting July 22nd, it'll be open with lane restrictions. So it'll be one lane, so it'll be a little tight in the morning. If you want to avoid it, you can always keep doing the old detour route, but you don't need to use the detour route. You can just have to be patient, and if you do that, you'll be fine.
So just be cautious if you're coming up on it. Like you said, you can always still use the detour route if you don't want to bother at all. So we're happy to hear that was all going according to schedule, and looking forward to it being completely open once again. Another construction update that we want to put out there is the New York Avenue construction. It's completed as of today.
Wonderful news. For those of you who are on the north side or use New York Avenue to really cut over from the west side to the east side towards the lake, you know how bad New York Avenue is, or was, I should say. And all these barriers that you see there are now removed, and New York Avenue is open straight through. And you know, I highlighted this during the State of the City address because New York Avenue, I think, is just a good illustration of the progress that we've made on our street program. Between 2009 and 2017, virtually all of New York Avenue has been reconstructed from the Fox River east to Hazel Street, Lake Winnebago. So that's just wonderful, and you can see the progress we made. And as I've always talked about, it's, you know, a little bit at a time, and we had to be patient. And when this last part of New York Avenue was the last one remaining, people just commented about how terrible it was, and they were absolutely right. And so all I can do is say, you know, when we tell you that we're going to be working on them a little bit at a time, we will. And it'll take a little time, but then we're going to get the results like this. Great part of this, it's done a month early.
Exactly.
We wanted it to be done before the beginning of Merrill School reopening in the fall. We're already done. So we're really pleased to have that. And it's just it's wonderful. It just gives the neighborhood much better curb appeal. And I think that's going to give more community pride. It's not just about traveling the streets. It's about feeling good about your neighborhood and knowing that your city cares about the streets in your neighborhood. So we're real pleased this is happening, and enjoy New York Avenue. I know I will.
We will for sure.
Yes.
So a lot of great construction updates with the closures and things going on. So I do encourage our viewers to check out the city website, visit the Public Works page, and there is a wonderful link there that you can subscribe. So if you see a road project and you're curious about how long it's going to be closed, what the details are, if you want updates, go ahead and subscribe to those email lists. They are a lifesaver, and they will send you updates directly to your inbox. Moving on here, it is EAA time, AirVenture time. You might have started to hear a little extra noise in the skies a couple days ago. So we just want to make our yearly blurb to say welcome to the EAA AirVenture visitors, and we're excited to have them.
Sure. Every year, it's another source of community pride. We talked about Oshkosh Corp earlier. EAA is another source, and this is just some video from prior AirVenture fly-ins. They'll start flying in. They've already on a certain level started flying, and you'll see them in the skies, and you'll see our visitors going throughout town, either renting your neighbors' homes or maybe your home, filling the restaurants and taverns, just enjoying Oshkosh. And we really are great hosts, and we hope that we have that experience for everybody that comes and visits us. And of course, be patient with our visitors. There's a lot of them, and they'll be going through roundabouts and things like that. So just be careful in the roundabouts, and just give a little berth, especially to out-of-state plates.
Yes.
But it's wonderful to have them in town. It's always exciting, and it's a great opportunity to show off Oshkosh.
Oh, for sure, definitely. So we're very happy to have them. And for those of you who might not be able to make it out to AirVenture, you might just want to keep an eye on our Facebook page, because we're going to be doing a little bit of coverage, and there might be some really cool things coming up this week. Next up here, we want to give some credit to the mayor. He was appointed to the Wisconsin Procurement Institute Executive Board. Now, Mark, maybe you can kind of give us a little more detail on what exactly that is, but it's a very good news.
Well, the idea is to assist Wisconsin businesses in being able to improve business by doing business within the state itself. a lot of times businesses or local governments in this case, which is why the mayor was appointed to this, they'll purchase something out of habit from some vendor and it may be out of state. Whereas if you purchased inside the state, it helps improve the state economy. So the purpose of the Procurement Institute Board is to really help promote Wisconsin products in Wisconsin by Wisconsin buyers. So the mayor got involved in the League of Wisconsin Municipalities over the years and became friendly with the mayor of Racine, who is resigning from that board because he's no longer going to be mayor of Racine anymore, and suggested Mayor Cummings to the board, and he got appointed. And so it's always a very nice thing when local representatives to state boards and things like that are done, and this is certainly a credit to the mayor's involvement and a source of pride for Oshkosh as well.
Definitely. We're very glad to have him representing Oshkosh on that board. And then the last item that we wanted to mention in our first half, Mark, is the Oshkosh Police Department is starting their reaccreditation process. And for those of us who don't know what the reaccreditation thing is, maybe you can kind of tell us what that is and why it is such a big deal here in Oshkosh.
Accreditation is a way to demonstrate to the public that our police department adheres to some basic standards that are universally recognized. And it really what it requires the department to do is do a full review of policies, procedures, just things that they do, whether it's how they write tickets, to how they store evidence, to how they keep track of records, all those things, so that it shows that it's a professionally run police department. Mm-hmm. And the accreditation process consists of peer police professionals coming into the community and really just looking under the hood on everything going on. And it also includes an opportunity for the public to provide input. And so you'll be seeing some information coming up. It's going to be on August 7th in the council chambers. So take a look for that. It's really for the public to provide some input before they start looking around for other things within the department on the internal operations. Mm-hmm. But we are, as you may have mentioned, we're the only police department in the state of Wisconsin that's currently accredited. And that's one of those self-improvement processes that we continue to do. The accreditation really keeps our police department sharp, and I'm very proud that Chief Smith has taken the reins from what Chief Groyle had done and is picking that up even another level. And I think that just is really a testament to the professionalism of our police department.
Definitely. We're so happy and proud to have our police department be reaccredited every year. To find more information about that whole process and what it all entails, you can visit the City of Oshkosh, the Oshkosh Police Department's website. They have a lot of really great details on there, and they go through all of the different things that all the different things they need to meet to be accredited. And like Mark said, the only police department in Wisconsin that is dually accredited for state and national, I believe. So yep. Moving on, it's now that time of the show where our viewers have the chance to ask our city manager anything they want about things that are going on right here in our city of Oshkosh. That's right, it's Question Mark. So let's go ahead and see what the question is this week. This week's question, Mark, is why did the city remove so many trees from South Park? And this one came from Facebook. It wasn't an individual one, but it was going through the gossip mill this week. So what do you have to say, Mark?
It was a very frequently asked question, and appreciate the chatter that was going on Facebook mm-hmm. to kind of clarify some things. But it's part of our process. At the State of the City this year, I'd mentioned a project that I was very proud of. South Park renovations include the Public Works Department, our Stormwater Division, as well as our Parks Department, putting improvements in there to meet stormwater requirements as well as improve the park. Part of that is increasing the size of the ponds there, and some trees had to be removed in that. And rather than question Mark so much, I think we need to question Ray, in this case, Ray Maurer, our Parks Director, who recently was able to provide some information that we're sharing throughout social media and other areas where people can learn more about it. So let's hear from Ray on this.
During the design process, we actually did a number of designs to try to alleviate some of the trees that were proposed to be removed. And what we were able to do was save a number of what we call desirable trees, a number of oak trees here that are in very good condition. A number of the trees that were removed were ash trees. Earlier this year, the emerald ash borer was actually located here in South Park, so those ash trees were going to be removed eventually. And a number of the other big trees that people have seen that have been removed are the willow trees. And if you saw the condition of a number of these here in the park, they were very hollowed out. It really served two functions. Even though we removed those trees, they really needed to be removed. We had a number of memorial trees, and we were able to fade those out and transplant them in other areas in the park. The contractor will be installing tree protection around a number of these trees that we're preserving and that are close to the construction site so that they are not damaged.
Wonderful information from Ray. And like you said, we have a full video, I think it's 4 or 5 minutes, about the whole project, highlights the stormwater aspect and other park improvements, and kind of gives you all the information that you could ever want about the South Park project, because it's very visual. You can't drive past it and not notice.
But it's very necessary, and we're happy to, that people ask the question, because we certainly want people to be aware of why we're doing it. So thanks for the question.
Definitely. Thank you for the question. If you'd like to send a question to Mark, you can post it on our Facebook page at Oshkosh Media. You can send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, or you can email us at ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he will answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. So now we are going to take a quick break in the show, and we'll come back with a Common Council meeting agenda preview for this Tuesday, July 25th. We'll be right back on City Manager's Report.
It is sad but true that for years, some people have been using storm drains to dispose of their wastes. Sanitary sewers take waste from bathrooms and kitchens and clean them up. But storm sewers do not treat or clean up anything passing through them. Everything that enters a storm drainage system is eventually discharged into a stream, river, lake, or bay in exactly the same form as it entered. One of the responsibilities of municipalities that operate storm sewer systems is to prevent what the EPA calls illicit discharges. Illicit discharges are any discharges of non-stormwater into or through the storm sewer. When illicit discharges enter surface waters, they can kill wildlife. They can suffocate plants and fish, destroy breeding and nesting areas. Never pour or dump anything down any storm drain.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report on GovTV right here at Oshkosh Media. Now it is that time of the show to go into the Common Council meeting agenda and pick out some of the highlights that we can expect on Tuesday, July 25th, 2017. So, Mark, the first couple items that we want to talk about relate to each other. It's two items. Approving the engineering services with AECOM for the Keenest and Paulus Quarries landfill gas extraction system, and then also for the environmental and engineering services relating to that site. Now, two numbers, 175,000 and then 34,950. Tell us a little bit about what these are and how they relate to each other.
Well, a little history of the area that we're talking about here. This is an area east of Knapp and south of 17th Street. And there were in the past there were a lot of quarries in that area that were filled in, and in this case, the Keenest and Paulus quarries, even though they were privately owned, the city back in the '60s did dump some municipal waste there, and so there is some. Even though these are still privately owned, we have some responsibility, and the DNR requires any municipality like us that had something like this that we need to monitor the methane gas that gets generated out of these facilities. Mm-hmm. And generally when it's methane gas, a large part of that is due to municipal waste. So we're responsible even though we don't own these sites. So we are in the process of actually acquiring some of these properties, and we've talked to all the neighbors in this area. So the neighbors in the immediate area are aware of this. We've been doing gas monitoring for a few years now, and the level of gas is such that we need to remove this gas not passively but actively with pumps. Mm-hmm. You may recall a few years ago that at Quarry Park, which is on the north side of 17th Avenue there, we did put in an active venting system, and that was to get gas out of Quarry Park. And old timers will remember that back in the 70s, on the west side of Knapp Street there, just north and west of the Keenest and Paulus quarries, there was an explosion, and it was due to municipal waste that was down there, and that was a tragedy. You know, a house blew up. We certainly want to avoid those things, and that's why we've been monitoring it so much. So the idea here is that we need to develop a system to remove gas from the quarry, and we're working on that, and we need engineering services to take a look at that. Eventually, we'll hook up these pipes of gas extraction to the pump at Quarry Park. So we don't have to pay for an extra pump, but we have to put some more pipeline in there. But it's a $2 million project when all is said and done, but it's something that we're required to do.
Well, very interesting background, and thank you for giving us that for something that not a lot of people even realize is there. So very good. Next item right after that, amendment to engineering services agreement with AECom for monitoring and documentation services for the Marion Road water tower replacement. Now, it's been a couple of episodes since we've talked about the water tower, so give us a little update on how things are going.
Well, this is, fortunately, we're hitting the home stretch, and I know a lot of people have gotten impatient because the tower has not made a lot of progress in recent weeks, and that's because they're switching from the construction end of things to the painting end of things. The construction, for the most part, is pretty much done, which is great news. But we're required to seal both the outside as well as the inside. And that's a different company that is subcontracted for. And they're currently working on another city. And once they're done there, we're next on the rotation, so they'll be here next. So we hope that within the next couple weeks you'll see activity. But quite honestly, this project is ahead of schedule, which is great news. Cross our fingers, we might be able to see this put into service by the end of the season, but it's got to be the right weather. It's been really rainy here, but it's also been rainy down in the Milwaukee area, which is where their current project is. And until it gets dried out there, and they can't finish that project, so they can't move the painting crew up here. But we'll keep watching it, and you keep watching it, and when you know, we'll know, and we'll share that information with everybody.
Definitely. We always love an update on that water tower over there. Now, moving on, the next item, award bid for Public Works contract for the Aviation Business Park Water Main Loop. This is a big number. Kind of go through what this is. We've talked about the Aviation Business Park. What is the Water Main Loop that's going through it?
You may recall that we did the Aviation Business Park. It's down there on Ripple Road, and that water is really what's called a dead end. But meanwhile, we have water main that goes on the west side of Highway 41 over down to Plainview Truck Plaza and the water tower that's there. We want to stretch water from that side of Highway 41 across 41 underneath the runway at Whitman Regional Airport and connect them with Ripple Road. And it'll actually create a loop which will improve water pressure in that area for future residential, industrial development, whatever is going on the south side. So this has been part of the project that we had anticipated with the development of the park, and now we're putting the water loop in. So we're really excited that we're going to be able to get this done.
Yes, always great to see things going on over there at the Aviation Business Park. Next item under consent agenda, continued, we've got a bunch of special events. One of those we just wanted to give a little highlight, and that is for Oshkosh Media on September 9th, 2017, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's our 30th anniversary celebration, 30 years.
A little self-serving with this one, Emily, I got to tell you, but it is wonderful. And Friends of Oshkosh Community Media have been just incredible supporters of Oshkosh Media over the years, and they want to celebrate Oshkosh Media's 30th anniversary. So take a look. You'll be on the lookout. There'll be stuff coming out. But Oshkosh Media is an award-winning local cable production group that is revered throughout the state for everything we've done. If you go into our studios, you'll see a mountain of awards that we've gotten over the years, and this is just a way of letting the community get a little insight into what's going on and celebrate the success of Oshkosh Media, because it really is, it's for the community, about the community, and that's what the event will be.
It'll be a little open house action, some food trucks, maybe police and fire might be there for some open house stuff. So great event lined up for you. September 9th, mark your calendars, and more information to come. Under new resolutions is a request from Oshkosh Farmers Market to waive special events fees. Tell us what that means, this item.
Well, our special event ordinance does have a provision that event organizers can make a request of council to waive their fees based on certain criteria. Our code has 10 criteria that the council can consider. The farmers market is a great event. They certainly have been very well received in the community, and they want to make a pitch to council to consider waiving their fees.
Has council ever considered something like this before? Has any other event come to them about that?
5 years ago, the farmers market did make that request, and they were denied. And I think they've put together some other information, hopefully, to make a case to council. And what council's going to have to look at is that comparable to other community organizers? We've got wonderful events throughout the community, and that's probably going to be the tough decision that they'll have to make.
All right. Well, looking forward to some discussion at the meeting about that one. Under council discussion and direction of city manager, future agenda items, plug for the budget workshop coming up on July 26th, 5 p.m. Any preview on what's to come at that meeting?
Well, this is the first of what will ultimately be 6 budget workshops. We do 3 workshops prior to the budget being submitted to council to give them good background, and then 3 afterwards. This one's going to focus on some long-term projections based on where we see the next 6 months going and what that could mean for the future. Certainly impacts of the state budget on what we're doing, things like levy limits, but we also have to take a look at things such as expenditure restraint that are put on us, and just to give the council an early preview of what the budget might look like, and then get some general direction from them on where they think we may want to go in terms of direction to staff or direction to me on what limitations we may have to look at as we consider our 2018 budget. But 2018 is right around the corner, and we got to start planning.
So the process begins. Budget workshop number 1, Wednesday, July 26th at 5 p.m. You can watch it online at oshkoshmedia.org or right here on GovTV. Moving on, direction to staff on council chamber modifications, revised council rules, following the workshop on the council chamber environmental review. So you had a meeting, you talked a little bit about some of the changes that could be made. Tell us a little bit of an overview, kind of run through what we're looking at here.
Well, there's really 3 separate areas. One was dealing with some structural things within the council chambers and some procedural things to help the meeting flow better. That was one of the issues, and so the council met in a workshop at the last meeting and gave some direction on where they think they're going to go. So we're just going to check in and say, is this what you had in mind? There are also some council rules that need to be modified because we're changing technologies and things like that. The other one is request to speak. Citizens, a lot of communities require citizens to register to speak so that we have a record of who spoke at the meeting. There's some technology that we've put a kiosk out there. The council asked to get this going, and we said, well, maybe there are some technology options. We discussed that with council, and we still have a few bugs to work out, and council said, well, if we're going to do these things, maybe September 1 is what we ought to shoot for. So we're going to make sure, are we on track with what the council's asked us for? But this is basically what it's going to look like generally. Little touchscreen action there. We'll also actually have the capability of a mobile app. So a lot of things that we can look at, and council will be giving us direction at Tuesday's meeting.
Excellent. And then we had one more item. I'm just going to give a teaser. It's an archaeological investigation for a CIP project, and maybe just give a really brief one before we close out here.
We have to check archaeological possibilities on some of these projects. We used UW-Milwaukee, and we actually came across some old remains, probably an ancient Indian burial ground on Bayshore. So it just goes to show you that we do need those things, but it's an interesting story, and you may hear more about it in the coming weeks.
Yes, you'll have to tune into the council meeting to get more details. So as always, Mark, thanks for joining us on City Manager's Report today.
Happy to do it.
Again, the meeting is this Tuesday, July 25th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM. As always, I encourage you to follow us on our social media, Facebook or Twitter, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. And as always, don't forget about Question Mark. If you have a question, go ahead, send it to us on Twitter, Facebook, or email, and he will answer it on the next episode of CMR. So as always, thank you so very much for joining us on your City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.